going to be discussing the basic terminology we are going to be using in our videos. Most of these are community terms, but we have added a few of our own and a few less known ones, so there may be ones you haven't heard of before. So let's start things out with what this channel is about. Complex dissociative disorders, which are dissociative disorders that feature the presence of dissociated parts. This includes Dissociative Identity Disorder, otherwise specified Dissociative Disorder 1, and Partial-Dissociative Identity Disorder. And jumping off of that, there's Dissociation, which is basically a lack of connectedness to the present moment. Two common forms of dissociation are depersonalization and derealization. Depersonalization is anything where your body doesn't really feel like it's real or your own, and derealization is when the world around you feels like it isn't real, or there's something off about it. In complex dissociative disorders, the collection of parts is usually referred to as a system, though different systems may use different terms to refer to it. Many systems refer to those who aren't systems as singlets. The parts within the system are usually referred to as alters, so again, this may vary based on the system. Whichever alter is currently in control of the body is considered being in the front or fronting. And if they stay in the front for a long period of time, it may be considered that they are front-bound or front-stuck. If two or more alters are in the front at any given time, that is considered co-fronting. And if alters are near the front but not fronting, that's considered co-conscious. Co-conscious alters can still be aware of what's going on in the front, even if they have no control over it. When who's controlling the body switches from one alter to another, that's called switching. Switches can be caused by triggers, which is something that brings an alter closer to the front. These can be negative triggers, which are typically memories of trauma or stressors, or they can be positive triggers, which can be things that the alter may like or be interested in doing. When alters aren't fronting, they can exist within an inner world. Some systems have an inner world, others don't. It's like a space in your mind where alters can communicate and exist and have homes and lives separate from the ones that exist out here. When alters are created, it's called splitting. This can be one alter becoming more than one, or it can be the creation of a completely new alter separate from anything that exists already. And what could be considered the opposite of splitting is integration, where dissociative barriers come down and alters become closer together in the headspace. A specific form of integration that is regularly talked about is fusion, where two or more alters become one. Alters that I guess you could say are less elaborate are considered fragments. These typically have only one role or feel one emotion and sometimes tend to be stuck within specific moments in time. They have less of a fully fledged identity than a lot of the other alters within the system. Alters may also individually have their own systems, which is called a subsystem. Similar to this, and sometimes also referred to as subsystems, are systems that are more separate from the main area of the system. It may be that only specific alters can go in and out of those systems, and there tends to be more dissociative barriers between those systems and the main systems, and those are referred to as side systems. Systems that have a lot of subsystems and side systems may be polyfragmented. Polyfragmented systems are systems with complex splitting patterns and inner worlds. They typically have a significant number of fragments and alters and have at least some subsystems or side systems. Alters may become inactive for significant amounts of time even within the inner world, and this is referred to as dormancy. Alters' ages may also change. This is referred to as age sliding. And this brings us into the next section, which is roles, as alters who do age slide sometimes are also referred to as age sliders. The alter that spends the most time in the front is usually referred to as the host, though that is generally how we will be using the term. To refer to ourselves personally, we use the term host slightly differently. We personally give the role of host to only alters that have access to the inner world. So since we have a front-bound host that has no access to the inner world, we typically don't refer to them as the host or give them that role. We also have a, tier within our levels of decision making, which is known as the hosts. Any alter who has ever been a host is one of the hosts, and we typically refer to them as a host instead of the host. I know, it's complicated. So the main two umbrella terms for types of alters within a system are protectors and persecutors. Protectors exist, as the name suggests, to help protect the system from a variety of different things. It depends on the protector what way they protect. And persecutors typically harm the system in some way. The harm is typically directed towards the system, not towards anyone else around the system. Similar to persecutors are avengers, who tend to express their anger and aggression more externally, typically having more anger towards abusers. There's also a lot of very self-explanatory roles, like you have social alters who tend to handle social situations, spiritual alters who may be more interested in participating in spiritual things for the system in whatever way that presents for the individual system, mute alters who don't have the ability to speak for whatever reason, sexual alters who tend to front for activities of that nature, and then we have one that we came up with, which is intuitive alters, which are alters that are able to know what's happening in other areas of the inner world while not actively being present in that part of the inner world. There are also alters that may hold things for the rest of the system. There are trauma holders who hold memories of trauma, symptom holders who may hold specific symptoms of disorders that the system has, innocence holders who typically hold a childlike innocence and don't have access to memories that may have harmed the system, and emotion holders who may hold and process a specific emotion separate from the rest of the system. There are also self-soothers, which, as the name suggests, may be able to soothe or calm down the body or other alters in some way. There are also alters known as gatekeepers who can gatekeep a significant number of things. Many gatekeep the front, as far as who is and isn't allowed to front at a specific time or during a specific scenario. Others may gatekeep memories or emotions, as far as which alters are and are not allowed to access them. Similar to this are secret keepers, who hold secrets that the rest of the system or specific alters are not allowed to know about. Some alters are known as messengers, who help two or more alters pass messages between each other and improve internal communication. There are also conflict negotiators who are able to resolve conflicts, whether within the system or better handle conflicts with people outside of the system. Younger alters within the system are referred to as littles. The age range that littles are may vary from system to system. Ours, we usually say, is anything under the age of 10, and some systems refer to alters that are slightly older than that as middles. Again, age range varies depending on the system. Alters who typically take care of the younger alters within the system are usually referred to as caretakers. And last but not least, we have interjects, which are alters who are based on an external source. These are usually split up into fictives, who are alters based on a fictional source, and factives, who are alters based on people who do or have existed in real life at some point. It may be people that the system actually knows, or it may be people like celebrities or historical figures. So that's all the terminology I had to go over today. I hope that you enjoyed and that it was educational. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. We will be going into some of the terms in more depth in future videos, so stay tuned for that. If you liked the video, it would be amazing if you could leave a like down below and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I hope you're having an amazing day and see you in the next one.